What I'm about to share with you is proof that most people are doing directories completely backwards. Right now, there are thousands of people actively searching very specific types of information on the internet. And they want this information so bad that in a lot of cases, they're willing to pay for it. So in this video, I'm going to be talking a lot about digital products. I'll be walking you through the signs that I spotted that led me to building this $1,000 MRR digital product that just sits on my directory and sells almost every single day. It's been doing so for the last year and a half. But in the second half of this video, I want to talk about how I spotted some pretty lucrative and creative monetization strategies using a live example, which is my plasma donation directory that I've talked about publicly. And I'll be using it as a live case study just so you can see how these opportunities even come up. How do I even spot these things in the first place? Both low ticket and high ticket offers. So there will be a lot of talk around creative monetization, and it's honestly the most fun part about directories in my opinion. The reality is there's hundreds of ways to monetize. There's products that you wouldn't even imagine that you can offer that you are probably going to encounter, but you just haven't gotten there yet. But the problem is you have to get there. You have to get the traffic because without distribution, there's no opportunity to make money. I mean, that's just the truth. And I've always said directories are a distribution first model. So if that's true, then why not build a directory where you have a very high chance at getting distribution? These digital products, for the most part, are invisible to the naked eye because a lot of people build directories in spaces where they can't win and then they give up and they get discouraged rather than going for a directory niche where you will dominate that space because there's just that little competition, and then figuring out monetization via what's most valuable to your audience members. And just a quick announcement before we talk all things monetization. Today is actually the day I launch Ship Your Directory Pro. Actually, it is launching in a couple hours at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this isn't a course. This isn't a static info guide or product. This is a live and interactive community where I'll be doing weekly live streams so that I can actually get to know your directory projects a little bit more intimately, understand where you're stuck, what challenges you're facing, and then help you overcome those challenges. Because what I realized is you're not just building a directory. There's actually like 5 to 10 different skills you're trying to master to create a valuable digital asset. All of these things have taken me time to learn, and if I could restart my entire journey today, I wish that I had someone just a few steps ahead that could basically tell me where I'm going wrong. So if you're interested, yes, I'll be helping you build a profitable directory, but my bigger vision for you is to help you learn how to distribute ideas on the internet. Because directories is one thing, but my bet is that if you're watching this, you're going to go on to build a lot more than directories, but knowing how to identify problems worth solving, how to collect high quality data so good that people want to pay for it, build an actual site that's meaningful and valuable and monetize it. All these skills, I think, are things that took me a long time. So this is the community for people who want a little bit more help and want to expedite their journey. I'll leave a link in the description for my website, shipyourdirectory.com, and at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today on April 10th, I will be launching it and you can join it if you want. Now let's talk about this digital product that I built, and I built this back in July 2023. It's an evergreen digital PDF that just sits on my directory, and when someone purchases it, it just gets emailed directly to your inbox. So basically there's no fulfillment. It's extremely high margin. I think it's 95% margin, and it's great. It's kind of like the dream product. But how did I actually get here, and what are the signs that you should be looking for so that you can find opportunities like this within your own niche? Now, this digital product happens to live in the thrifting niche. That is what the directory is about. And you might be wondering, how did you get people who are looking for cheap clothes to buy a digital product online? And I'll tell you, a lot of these problems start to reveal themselves when you start immersing yourself in the community that you're building in. If you're familiar with my process and you know how I like to launch directories, then you know that I always post on Reddit whenever I launch a directory. So this was no different. I found a small subreddit and then I basically made a post saying, hey, I made this awesome tool to help you find XYZ faster. And it got a lot of traction. It got a lot of comments, a lot of people commenting saying, thank you. Oh my gosh, like I've been trying to look for these stores everywhere and thanks for creating this, yada, yada. But I also noticed there was another type of comment. And it was basically a request to add a specific piece of information or specific feature to my directory. And I would see this over and over again. And I brushed it off for 3 months because I was like, there's no way I can acquire this information. That's like nearly impossible. And what am I gonna call every single store, pose as some corporate person, and then extract information from the manager of the store. I mean, we're talking about this level of difficulty in terms of getting this data and information. And it's also very store specific. So it's like, just to make something difficult even harder, that was the challenge that was ahead of me. So I ignored it for 3 months, and then I was like, whatever, I'm not going to do this. But people kept commenting it. The upvotes came in. So I ended up doing it. At the time, I was working a full-time job in tech sales, so I was very comfortable over the phone. And the person who trained us, made like $1 million a year as a tech salesperson back in their 20s. So he was legit. Like, he taught us how to ask questions and say things in a way where it would invite responses. And it's kind of a subconscious thing, but it's pretty fascinating. So I literally got this information. I got this data that was so in demand that everyone wanted by calling like 150 stores. It took a long time and I wasn't always successful, so I had to make tabs of who didn't respond and then call them back. But essentially it was like 5 to 10 minutes per phone call times 100 stores. Yeah, a lot of time and a lot of effort. Now, why would I do this without a guarantee of it working? Well, because nothing's guaranteed, first of all, but also I'm crazy and I like to experiment hard when it comes to things that I know people want. I want to know how badly people want it. And I also thought if I create this thing, it'll be pretty evergreen and I can kind of sell it forever. No one will be able to replicate it because no one's going to be willing to put in the work that I'm putting in right now. Fundamentally, if you're wondering why this information was so in demand, think about a thrift store and how they operate. They get new merchandise, right? So basically the data, the information that I was getting was store-specific schedules on when new items would come in. And this was useful for resellers who buy and sell for a profit, hobbyists, people who want to know when is the best time to go so they can get the best items. So it appealed to a very wide market. Now, would I do it again? Probably not. It was honestly a great experiment to try, but it was too sweaty. It was too much, and there are plenty of lower hanging fruit opportunities in the directory world. Packaging was very simple. I just took the data that I had and created a Canva template and then just replaced the information. Very, very simple 1-page PDF that is hosted on ConvertKit, now Kit, that, it just sells for $19, gets emailed automatically to the buyer's inbox, and that's it. On a slow month, this digital product will do around $400 to $500 in sales, and then just more recently, it's kind of popped off and it's hit the 4-figure mark. Now, looking back, there are basically 4 signs that I saw and noticed that gave me the green light to go and do this crazy 2-month-long project of acquiring this hard-to-get data. The first sign was what I told you, which is I saw the same reoccurring comment on Reddit. There were chains of comments where they were like, yeah, I want this too. Yeah, me too. Yeah, Frey, woo, yeah, please make this. No, don't do that. Don't do that. There was a lot of repeat requests for this feature. And that's something you should always be looking out for whenever you get some real-time feedback on your directories. Now, the second sign that this was a good idea was I was checking TikTok, and I basically looked up my niche and my keyword in TikTok and searched for the most viral videos. And I noticed that a lot of the comments were like, where is this? Oh, is there one in Pennsylvania? Is there one in Texas? There were a lot of questions and curiosities in the comment section. It was clearly not as easy as going to Google Maps, typing it in, and then going there. There was definitely a bottleneck, which is why everybody was asking that question. Now, the third sign was people started reaching out via email or leaving comments on my directory location pages because I had comments turned on. And people were, again, asking for that information. Hey, can you add this feature? So that was a green flag. And I love this one because just because you're not seeing repeat comments, it doesn't mean that you're not sitting on what could be an incredible digital product opportunity because someone went out of their way and asked you for a specific feature. So it's worth looking into, and intuitively, if you've done your research and you know this is something people want, then it's even more reason to consider building something. And the fourth sign is you have a very high conversion rate on your lead magnets. So before I actually launched this digital guide, I did put up this pop-up lead magnet on the directory, and it was like, do you want to know when new items are rolled out at the nearest thrift store near you, or something along those lines. I think over 5,000 people subscribe to that email in like 3 months. It was actually like very, very insane growth. And that was another easy way for me to test the idea. So now that you know how niche some of these digital products can be, now we're switching gears into a couple creative ways that I can go and monetize one of my existing directories, which is the Plasma donation directory. And hopefully you're convinced that it is literally impossible to spot these opportunities until you are knee deep into your directory build. And that's something to look forward to. That's something that should excite you. I've spoken about this website directory that I built almost a year ago, and it still kind of just consistently gets traffic, even though I don't really touch it anymore. And I'd like to reveal a couple creative monetization strategies that I can go and build right now. Now, I originally built this for display ads because I heard healthcare display RPMs are off the charts good, and I just wanted to get a taste. So far, that hasn't worked out as planned because I haven't been doing any link building on this website, and the existing competition is fierce with their backlink profile. I knew that within a couple months that probably wasn't going to reach 50,000 monthly visitors, so I had to start thinking about how to leverage the 5,000 to 10,000 monthly visitors that I was getting. And that's when I started to do some research. And I just typed in plasma donation here, and I actually clicked on questions to see what the most common questions are. And the first thing that was very clear to me was people want to know how much different plasma centers pay. And you can see here there's 3,100 people every single month looking up how much does plasma donation pay. So this is one of the first things that I noticed. So naturally I look it up on Reddit. So I typed highest paying plasma center Reddit, and there's different people who are trying to guess how much these plasma donation centers pay. And I'm going down the rabbit hole a little bit, but it depends on things like how much you weigh so they can draw more plasma or less plasma from you. There's first time donor bonuses, and then there's incentives. If you donate X amount of times, like in a month, then you get a bonus. And then different cities around the country will pay differently. So it's just very, very difficult, nearly impossible, I would say, to give an accurate answer. And so my thought was, hey, if I could solve this problem, then that would be worth something. I would basically be the only person on the internet to be able to offer this type of information. So I read a bunch of these types of forums on Reddit, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely an issue. So the first thing I did was I actually created a lead magnet, which on the first page you'll see get a free master list of the highest paying centers updated every month. I also made it a pop-up so people who are visiting location pages directly and don't see it on the homepage can opt in and check it out. This is how wildly in demand this information is. When I click on join our donor club, I basically created a type form or tally forms. It's this 1.5 to 2 minute long survey that people have to fill out just to be able to join the newsletter. And I have this demographic information, right, that people have to fill out. And it asks you pretty in-depth questions. Like, look at these questions that I'm asking them. They're not easy yes or no questions. It requires some critical thinking, and like I set the barrier pretty high just to sign up for a damn newsletter. Now, believe it or not, 82% of people who land on this page will convert and fill out this entire survey. And to give you some idea of how many people still sign up without me touching this website for a long, long time, there's 592 people who have filled out this survey, and that's not even all of them. I ended up going from type form to tally forms back in mid-December, and before that switch, I had 1,000 people who signed up in literally 2.5 months or so. So I exported this CSV and I basically pulled it up, and obviously I blacked out the emails here. But here we can see on December 15th, 2024, that's when I made the switch from Typeform to Tallyforms because Typeforms is ridiculously expensive. Since then, there's been, 592 submissions. In last month alone, I highlighted it here, but we can see that 140 submissions were made. Now, what's funny is this is the information that I just put into the newsletter. I didn't have a way to get location-specific rates if you donate your plasma. I built the directory, I got thousands of people to come visit it through organic traffic, and then I incentivized people to fill out this information. People are giving me the information that is the content of the email, and it comes in such a volume, right? 100, 200 people is enough sample size for me to make some decent conclusions to provide valuable inputs. So there's two creative ways that I can go and make money off this data. The first thing is basically a B2C digital product where people can pay, let's say $59 lifetime access. They would get one email a month, basically helping them choose and understand which plasma centers are paying the most. And on my end, I would basically take last month's data, so all the 140 responses from February, and just feed it to ChatGPT or an LLM them to visualize it, make graphs, make it very user friendly and digestible, and then just stick it in an email and then send it out. And anytime you create a digital product where the reward is either saved time or saved money or a way to earn more money, generally speaking, those are winners. Now, there is a high ticket offer that I definitely could go and experiment with that I think could be very interesting, which is effectively a quarterly report or an annual report that is full of this consumer data that I can then sell to the actual plasma donation companies. And I actually kind of attempted this. I got the LinkedIn Sales Navigator free trial and I started sending messages to like the head of marketing at BioLife and CSL Plasma and Octapharma, all these massive $100 million, even $1 billion healthcare companies, asking to see if they'd want to sponsor my newsletter or pay for a sponsored listing. None of them replied, but one of them joined my newsletter. And it's the head of marketing for one of the largest plasma donation companies in the world. So when I say these plasma companies are massive, I am talking about billions of dollars in revenue. And there's multiple other plasma companies that are doing hundreds of millions in revenue. If I were to create a quarterly report or an annual report visualizing and consolidating consumer insights on the plasma donation industry, I think I could sell that for $5,000 per report or $10,000 per report. I don't think that's like an insane thing to say. I really don't. Now combine that with the fact that the healthcare industry spends almost $1 billion a year on data, according to ChatGPT. But to truly execute this high ticket offer, I would probably need to adjust the questions that I ask on the survey. Now that I know that 82% of people convert, I could probably ask some more in-depth questions like what people would actually want to know if they're running a multi-million-dollar plasma company, and then ask those questions. So those are the two creative ways that I can go about monetizing it. As you can see right now, I'm doing nothing with this website, so I just threw it on Mediavine Journey for now. So it's just making, a couple $100 a month passively. But when I have time and when I have energy, these are the two things that I'm gonna go and build. But truthfully, I'm getting a ton of enjoyment from community stuff and education stuff, so I wanna build Geodirectory Pro and make it an amazing educational hub. This will come in time. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys got some value from this. I think monetization is a very, very fun topic, but more importantly, it's so important to take advantage of the opportunity that directories present, which is their distribution first models. Choose niches where you can dominate that space. Think about monetization from like a high level overview when you're going into the niche, but it's until you go very deep that these types of creative monetization angles start to pop up and you're like, oh wow, like I could definitely do that. That wouldn't be too hard. So if you chose a niche and you're feeling discouraged and you're questioning if this is all even worth it or if it works to begin with, that's the best advice that I can give you. Niche down, choose something really specific, something where you almost know no one's going to talk about on the internet. So there you have it. I hope you learned a little bit more about how directories and digital products can live in harmony and just how many creative opportunities there are to make money online with directories. And for people who want to expedite their learnings with weekly live streams and a course down the line that'll be included for all Geodirectory Pro members, there will be an option for you in a few hours. I'll leave a link in the description, but with that, I will catch you in the next video. See ya.